Hello, my name is Francisco Guarnero, and I'm going to do a brief teaching on the four Gospels and hopefully answer three questions. What are the Gospels? What are the Synoptic Gospels? And what is the Synoptic Gospel problem? So, what are the Gospels? First, the word Gospel comes from the Greek word euangelion, meaning good news, usually associated with a new king. The Gospels are the first four books of the New Testament. The Gospels according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All four are either first or second-hand accounts of the life, ministry, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. These are narrative accounts and can also be put in the genre of first-century biographies. Unlike biographies of today, these books don't give a detailed account for the entire life of Jesus, and the events aren't even in chronological order. Each book has its own themes and different intended audiences. The Gospel according to Matthew was written by Matthew, a tax collector, one of the 12 appointed apostles of Jesus. It was written between 70 and 80 AD, and he was writing to the Jewish people. He designed his book to highlight certain themes about Jesus. Matthew wants to show how Jesus is a continuation and fulfillment of the whole biblical story about God and Israel. The Gospel of Mark was written by a man named John Mark, who was a close associate of the Apostle Peter. It was written between 65 and 70 AD for an audience in Rome. He designed his book to address questions whether or not Jesus was the Jewish Messiah. He opens with the beginning of the good news about Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God, and it was written in Isaiah the prophet. The Gospel according to Luke was written around 70 to 80 AD, written by a Gentile historian and physician named Luke, the only Gentile writer in the Bible. He's writing to a leader in Rome named Theophilus and to Gentile Christians. Luke states, "This is to give Theophilus and others an accurate and orderly account to confirm them in their faith." Luke's major theological emphasis was God's salvation for all is revealed in Jesus Christ, and his major theme is the Holy Spirit. Finally, the Gospel according to John, who calls himself the disciple that Jesus loved, was written by either John the son of Zebedee or John the elder. His book was written between 70 and 90 AD and believed to be the last gospel written after Matthew, Mark, and Luke were in circulation. He is writing to the world, and he says, "I write these things so that you may believe in Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God, and by believing you may have life in his name." Now, what are the Synoptic Gospels? The Synoptic Gospels refer to Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Synoptic because they find a lot of agreement between them. 90% of Mark is found in either Matthew or Luke. These agreements are not only in words, but in whole phrases, and not just sayings and teachings of Jesus, but narrative as well. The Gospel of John is a completely different character and doesn't even sound the same. John has 90% new materials compared to the Synoptics. So what is the Synoptic problem? The Synoptic problem is the challenge posed by all the similarities and numerous differences between the Synoptic Gospels. Scholars addressing this problem try to explain the literary relationship between the Gospels by offering a theory about the written chronological order of the Gospels, the extent to which the Gospel writers borrowed from another, and what sources a writer may have used. What are those theories, you ask? Another good question, a bonus question, and I'll quickly go over four now. The most widely held view is the Markian theory, that Mark was written first. This theory concludes that Matthew and Luke used Mark to write their Gospels. One of the reasons to support this is because Mark's stories are much longer and more detailed than the other accounts. The other accounts read as abridged versions of Mark. Another theory is the two-source theory, Mark and Q. The designation of Q is for a source or sources of material found only in Luke and Matthew, but not Mark. If Mark was written first, we have to account for the information that only Luke and Matthew share. We also have the four-source theory: Mark, Q, M, and L. Mark and Q we discuss, and M is for the material unique to Matthew's book. And L is for material only found in Luke. Now finally, we have the Greensburg hypothesis, which states that Matthew wrote first, not Mark, and Luke used Matthew as a source, and Mark combined and abridged their accounts. In conclusion, no theory explains everything. Now I have a question for you. Is the synoptic problem really a problem? Thanks for listening.